little complex. I've mentioned the coaching carousel the last 2 weeks and starting to feel like that maybe I'm contributing to the problem. I don't know. Another open position and another week in the books. Welcome to the midweek college football breakdown. Week 11 is here. Welcome back, guys. Dalton, good to see you back here with us this week.
Yeah, good to be back, guys. Sorry I missed a week, but we're back and ready to roll at a victory week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, OU, Tennessee, fun trip to Knoxville. Man, that's a hard place to play at night. So it's a blackout. It's the Saturday just after Halloween. Everybody's wearing black and orange. Orange, obviously, being the puke color, but the playing in that atmosphere there, they have the whole presentation down at Tennessee. I think that if we could take anything from that game that is not actual football, but is just in the atmosphere, it would be some of that presentation that they have in Knoxville.
It was amazing. The tee lit up with the lights in the band members' heads lining the tee, and then it spreads apart and actually opens. And then just the spotlights that were one group of spotlights was on the coin toss, and then the other spotlights were lighting up the whole tee.
That's right.
It was it was crazy cool. And those blackout uniforms, whatever they call them, dark mode, those were awesome.
The only thing I thought that would make the uniforms better is if the helmets were matte black rather than the glossy.
I agree with that.
Just a cooler look there. But it was a cool look at the end of the game with Oklahoma taking home the W. What do you think were the biggest contributors there, Brandon?
I mean, honestly, obviously you can't not say the defense and finally getting turnovers.
That's right.
R. Mason Thomas's scoop and score.
That's
on
right.
The first turnover where he literally stiff-armed that tight end for 30 yards before just disposing of him and going ahead and finishing that return for the touchdown. I mean, the defense caused havoc. Like, they caused mayhem, and that's what Brent Venables' defense is supposed to do. I did still get frustrated several times at rushing 3 and dropping 8, but it seems like it did kind of set some stuff up later in the game, some different looks that they had and that kind of stuff, like on the fourth down, the 4th and 1, where they throw the pass to the flat. He had been dropping from that end position all game. And I think it was Taylor Wine dropped back and actually got a hand on that tight end that came out of the backfield and slowed him down. But he was being blocked at the same time. But he dropped, got a hand, slowed him down. So it threw off the whole timing of that. And, I mean, it was huge. I mean, the other thing, I mean, you got to say the defense, and to me, you got to say the rushing game. Yeah. Like, to rush for 192 yards. And honestly, after halftime, I felt like our offensive line had our way with them. Like, we were getting chunk plays in the second half. I know we averaged 5.5 yards per rush throughout the game, but I think in the second half, I think Brent Venables said we averaged 6.9 yards a rush in the second half, so almost 7 yards per rush in the second half. And I know, Dalton, we complained about this earlier in the season, but I think the John Mateer running game is back, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Don't hate it when it works, right?
Well, it worked against Michigan. It worked. It was just the thing of he was taking so many hits, but if that's what I guess Oklahoma's going to have to do to be successful, and they have to do it. One thing we saw though finally was since that Auburn game earlier in the season, we finally saw John Mateer run with kind of a no-care mentality again. Yeah. He didn't run scared like he did against Texas and against Ole Miss. He was actually running the football with, his 3rd and 16, his 21-yard rush for a first down. There was as soon as he took off, you could just tell his eyes were on the sticks. He wasn't worried about getting hit, wasn't worried about the contact. And that's the John Mateer that we saw. But I will say the difference though is we were relying on John Mateer to rush for almost 100 yards, and we had no other run game. Now, with X being able to run for 115 yards of his own, that changes things.
Yeah. The difference is when everything else is working you have to check the other things, and the quarterback is the last thing you check in the run game. So if everything else is working, then it's good.
We'll talk more about the next game against Alabama in a little bit, but do you guys feel that if we have a similar game on the offensive side and something which we have been very consistent on is the look of the defense every single week, if we have something similar to that against Alabama, do you think we come out with a win out of Tuscaloosa, Dalton?
I'm not going to say no, but I look at the SEC right now and you can't predict it.
That's true.
I have no idea, because if Oklahoma plays offense like they did in the first half, then they're not going to go into Alabama and win.
Yeah.
So it's got to be the offense that we saw in the third and fourth quarter. We have to establish a run game. And as great as the turnovers were, and I mean, our secondary they gave up some plays against Tennessee, and I was proud for them for winning and finding a way to get it done. But I just don't think you can predict it. I mean, I think that this game alone was an up and down game. When it looked like Tennessee had a chance to go up 2 scores, our Mason Thomas comes out of nowhere and holds a dude for 30 yards, finally gets him off of him and scores a touchdown. And that changed the entire game. Yeah. So I think, yes, Oklahoma can do it. I don't know if Oklahoma will do it.
Got a week off. We'll talk about the Alabama game coming up here in just a little bit. First, we want to get to the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we'll start with Texas versus Vandy. And Brandon, I'll start with you.
This game.
That says it all. Got it. Dalton? No, I'm just teasing.
Right, exactly. I mean, honestly, I hate saying this, but I'm going to say the good in this game was I feel like this is Arch Manning's best game as a starter at Texas so far. I mean, he was 25 for 33 for 328 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and led the team to a very early, quick 24-3 lead early in the second quarter. That being said, I mean, we'll get to the ugly in a minute, but the ugly is going to be the other side of that. The bad was Vandy's rushing game was horrendous against Texas. And I know they're a good defense, but you can't average 2.4 yards on 24 rushes and only have 58 yards. Texas's running game wasn't that much better. They only amassed 100 yards on the day on 27 carries. So they were not above 2.5 yards a carry either. If you're going to be Vandy and you're going to beat teams that you're not supposed to beat, you're going to have to rush the ball better. The rushing offenses for me was the bad part of that. The ugly is Texas's defense in the fourth quarter was atrocious. They gave up 238 yards to Vanderbilt in the fourth quarter only, 21 unanswered points. And Vandy honestly had a chance if they got the onside kick with 33 seconds left in the game, and they had 2 chances at getting that before it went out of bounds, and they just could not fall on it.
Yep.
I mean, 2 Vandy players could have fallen on that and scooped that in before it went out of bounds, and they just didn't. Texas escaped, but your defense folding in the fourth quarter is something that's not going to get them very far in the SEC, especially coming up in a couple of weeks going to Georgia. I mean, it's going to be tough sledding down the stretch against Georgia if they can't stop a defense in the fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about that a little more here in a minute.
It would have been a different story. This entire game would have been a different story if Texas hadn't scored on the first play of the game. Dalton, what's the good 100% for you?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, this game had, was it 2021 Red River vibes? The very first play of the game, 75 yards for a touchdown, and you're thinking, man, this game could get blown open real quick, and then it's a 2-score lead and a 3-score lead. And I remember once it got to 2 scores, it might have even been 24-3. I remember telling Mick, this game has Vandy comeback written all over it, and I just didn't know when it was going to happen. But the good for me, same as Arch. I mean, this was his best game of the year by far. He made some really big throws, and he said the stat line, but to do the stats that way and not turn the ball over, that's an incredible game. He did his job. The bad for me was Diego Pabia's fumble. he lost that fumble. That turnover, when you're trying to come back and you're down like that, you can't lose the ball in that situation. So that difference in the turnover margin is Texas winning the game. And then the ugly was Vandy's run game. I mean, they didn't even try to establish it. And this, we talked about this against, I think it was LSU. I mean, the reason why I thought that LSU was going to be able to beat Vanderbilt is because Vanderbilt runs everything through Pavia. That's all they do. And they don't care if you have a running back on the roster. Their running back, Sedgwick, averaged over 5 yards a carry, but he only touched the ball, 5 times? Right. So, I mean, it's just, I think that if they don't start to establish a run game, it's going to be really hard to win because their defense is just getting torched by Arch. Their defense is on the field. Then you have a turnover. They're back on the field. Like, that's just really, really hard to play when your football is not complementary.
It is looking eerily similar to 2024 for Miami. At this point in the season, Miami versus SMU, good, bad, and ugly. Staying with you, Dalton, here to start this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Kevin Jennings for the good. 365 yards and a touchdown. You'd like to see more points scored when you're throwing for that many yards. And once again, it was not good because SMU also did not play complimentary football, and I'll get to that in a sec. But Kevin Jennings played a great game. The bad for me is Carson Beck and his 2 interceptions. You're just not going to win a game on the road when drives are ending in turnovers. You're not even giving your kicker a chance to put points on the board. He's started out really well, and he's just degressed this season. And so he gets the bad for me. But the ugly for me was SMU's run game, 23 total yards. That is horrible.
That's crazy.
How did they win this game?
Yeah.
How did they win this game? Because Kevin Jennings, while he throws for 365, he only accounted for 1 touchdown. And they only rushed for 23 total yards as a team. They got to fix that if they're going to want to find a way to win the ACC. But even if they do, somebody's winning the ACC that's probably not going to be a very good team. So if you want a chance at competing in the playoff, you better establish a run game if you're SMU.
I thought about it. It is it's kind of insult on injury when it comes to being fined for rushing the field and also having to replace goalpost. I didn't think about that till this game. That's for SMU. You good, bad, and ugly for you, Brandon.
Same for me on the good is quarterback Kevin Jennings. I mean, 29 for 44, 365 yards and a touchdown. It's a great line. It's a great day. I agree with Dalton. I wish he could figure out a way to get in the end zone a little bit more, get more points out of that, because that's a heck of a line. If you end up putting up 2 or 3 touchdowns or maybe 2 touchdowns through the air and a rushing touchdown, then this is a no-brainer win for you. But he had a really good day, led his team to a win. The bad for me is what Dalton said was his ugly, is SMU's rushing offense was terrible. Dalton said they only had 23 yards rushing, but you realize at the end of regulation, they had -2 yards rushing.
Oh,
their touchdown in overtime came on 6 consecutive rushing plays, and they scored a touchdown off of that. So 25 yards. At the end of regulation, they had -2 yards rushing on the day.
Did not know that.
That's why they went to overtime.
Yeah.
Insane. The ugly for me is just Miami's lack of discipline overall. Like, absolutely horrible. Blown coverages in this game. They had 12 penalties for 96 yards. Turnovers by Carson Beck, throwing 2 interceptions in this game. One of them in overtime that is almost guaranteed to lose you a game when you get the ball first in overtime. And you just can't have that happen. I mean, it is definitely a repeat of last season for Miami, I feel like. Starting out pretty good and just digressing. I mean, you can't do that. Lucky for them, they're in the ACC, but unlucky for them is I don't know if they're going to win any more close games if they keep playing like this. Carson Beck has been a turnover machine lately. And I mean, I said earlier in the year, Carson Beck was really good. Miami was back. I felt like Miami was back, and that's because Carson Beck was playing really good. When he decided to become a freaking turnover machine, then that totally changes that whole thing. And I think Miami is probably done for the season. I don't see the playoffs in their future.
Yeah. World's largest cocktail party went down in Jacksonville, neutral site for Florida and Georgia. Closer than it should have been, maybe. Good, bad, and ugly. And we'll start with you, Brandon.
Definitely closer than it should have been, in my opinion. The good, I'm going to say, is just overall Gunnar Stockton and the Bulldogs. They pull off their 5th straight win against Florida in the cocktail party. Gunnar had a very game manager type game. He was 20 for 29 for 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, and that pick was costly, almost made them, in position to lose this game. But the good was just they figured out the way to win. The bad is in a game that almost everybody thought Georgia would probably roll against Florida. They just had to survive rather than putting it on cruise control in the second half. But the issues are penalties, inconsistent starts. Defensive lapses, near catastrophe on defense a couple of times. All things they're going to have to clean up if they want to contend at the highest level and get far in the playoffs. The ugly for me was Florida. 2 for 11 on third down conversions and 0 for 2 on fourth down conversions. And the crazy thing is they were right in this game, even led in the fourth quarter of this game. But their offense just couldn't sustain a drive and stay on the field for 80 to 90% of this game. And when you're going to do that against a good team like Georgia and let a good team like Georgia hang around, Georgia knows how to fight. Kirby Smart knows how to fight. These guys know how to fight. They're going to fight, and they're going to figure out a way to win, and that's what happened.
What's it for you, Dalton?
Yeah, very similar. I just went overall with Georgia, finding a way to get a win, trailing yet again in the fourth quarter. Gunnar Stockton was not bad in this game. He was decent in this game. The 2 touchdowns, the 223 yards, but then they were complementary as they rushed for 138 on the ground. So they just found a way to win in the fourth quarter when they were trailing once again. The bad for me is what Unc said his ugly was. Florida, 2 for 13 on third down. You have this game if you can extend drives. This is a close game. This is don't get off the field. Like, keep your offense on the field. Find a way to get some first downs. Even if you get 2 or 3 of those, that could change some things, allow you to kick a field goal or something. Like, you got to be more productive than 2 for 13 and 0 for 2 on fourth. So that was the bad for me. But the ugly for me is this is now becoming the norm for Georgia rather than the exception.
Sure.
So it's not like this is just
Very
a
fair.
one-time thing where Georgia is struggling in a rivalry game that they've won the last 8 of 9.
Yeah.
Right? They struggled. They were down and had to come back against Bama and couldn't complete the comeback. They were down against Auburn and had to complete a comeback. Down against Ole Miss in the fourth quarter, had to complete a comeback. Down against Florida in the fourth quarter, had to complete a comeback. It's becoming a normal thing for Georgia to start really slow and have to claw their way back late. I don't know if the norm is going to get them to the standard that Georgia football is used to. And so that's the ugly for me right now, is watching this Georgia team, because after what I saw Texas do to Vanderbilt, my thinking is if you let Texas build a 3-score lead in Austin, or actually they might be in at Georgia.
They're in Georgia. Yeah, they're between the hedges.
So either way, though, I think that if you let Texas build a 3-score lead and you can't find a way to get points up early and get some stops on the defensive side, like, you're just going to find yourself in a fourth quarter position that you're going to run out of time. And they only ran out of time in one game, and that was Bama. So it's weird seeing this become the norm for a Georgia team that is just usually so physical and so dominant up front, and that just owns the football game from the moment it starts.
Fair.
Agreed. OU off this week. Next game happens next week, 2:30 on ABC in Tuscaloosa versus the Crimson Tide of Alabama. What does OU need to do here in the off week to prep for this hurdle, Brandon?
Honestly, get healthy. They're obviously going to, in the off week, they will spend some time going over Alabama, going over Missouri, going over LSU, just a little bit for those last 2 teams. But really, Alabama, they're going to have to fix some stuff. Some decision making that got made in the Tennessee game was, I mean, for me, late in the game, 4 minutes left in the game, and Ben Arbuckle calls an RPO, and for whatever reason, John Mateer decides to pull it and make the throw.
Yeah.
When just run the ball, run the clock out, and the game's over.
Yep.
They had 2 timeouts. If you got one more first down, then you could salt the clock away right then. You don't have to deal with the onside kicks and stuff like that. Yep. So, I mean, that was some things that came up in the post game. I mean, Brent Venables was very clear. Like, Ben Arbuckle called an RPO, but he needs to not call the RPO. There does not need to be an option. Yep. They're gonna fix some of that stuff. They're gonna get some of that stuff kind of ironed out, and then we just got to get healthy. It comes out that R. Mason Thomas's deal is a quad injury. They don't think it's going to keep him hampered in the Alabama game. Just a little tweak while he was trying to run and pull away from that dude.
Another Williams pounder. Yeah.
Right. Gentry Williams should be back for this game. John Mateer's hands should be a little bit better in 2 weeks instead of 1 week. You know, he's got 2 weeks to go. Just get healthy and just iron out some things. Just put the final touches on some things going into another hostile environment. I know Alabama's a tough place to go play, and Tuscaloosa is going to be crazy. I don't know that it's going to be quite as crazy as Tennessee was, because Tennessee is insane. But, I mean, they just got to prepare themselves. They just got to go kind of through the same process that they went through this last week leading up to Tennessee, but you got to clean some things up.
What can you add to that, Dalton?
I think I'm really at the point where I'm just curious, what football team are we going to see? Mm-hmm. There's been so much inconsistency in Oklahoma football under Brent Venables all the way back to when we started in the Big 12. And you look at this year alone, we've said forever we want to let a back just be the back, and we thought Blaylock was the guy, and Blaylock did really good, and then they decided to go with Robinson. Now Robinson's doing really good, and I'm just like, okay, are we going to let Robinson run over Alabama again like he did last year, or are we going to see another back again next week? Like, I have no idea what to expect with our run game. At this point, I'm on the Robinson train now, so let him run, like feed him, let him run. But I have no idea what to expect. Ben Arbuckle, super inconsistent, and you just have to be a smart play caller when you have a chance to win games. Defensively, I'm just annoyed of running zone defense. Like, that's a big reason Tennessee was able to throw for as many yards as they did, and why we have busted coverage. Dudes are super confused in the zone. It's hard to sit back in a zone when you're not getting pressure on the quarterback. I mean, I'd like to see us play a little bit more man. Guillory is good. He's, I think, leading the SEC. I saw the stats today. He's leading the SEC in cornerbacks for touchdowns given up. He's given up less than any other cornerback in the SEC as a freshman. So
something we haven't had in a while.
Yeah. And I'll say something about the defense and the freaking zone scheme that drives me crazy. I just want to see if we can man up on these guys. I just want to bring 5 or 6 at the quarterback, especially when it's a quarterback like Aguilar, like we just played. When we did it, good things happened. We saw that. We saw that in multiple games this year. In the Auburn game, send pressure. You're going to panic the quarterback. I don't think we're going to have that same panic mode from Ty Simpson of Alabama when we get there in 2 weeks. He's a really good quarterback, but I also don't think Alabama runs anywhere close to the same style of offense that we've played in the last 2 weeks. So if we can go in there and stuff the run and just make them beat us over the top, then that's, I feel like, what we need to do. Stuff their run. Don't let them get anything going. Make them make the plays down the field, and we can play our thirds or our quarters, whatever we're going to play down the field. I would just rather play the cover 2 or the cover 3 and not the zone where we're giving up the 6-7 yards every play that are easy 6-7 yard pickups.
Yeah, Ty Simpson's too good though. Ty Simpson's better than Aguilar. That's all the more reason I think to try and put pressure on him and make him make quicker decisions. Because if we sit back in the zone, he's gonna tear us apart even better than Aguilar did. And the thing about Alabama is they're not a heavy run team. Jan Miller, he's really good, but he averages just over 3 yards a carry. He's only got 300 yards total on the season. And then their next, Riley, he's averaging just under 4 yards a carry, and he's only got 180 total yards on the season. So they rely on Simpson's arm. I mean, he's got 20 total touchdowns, over 2,000 yards passing. So we've got to get to him. We cannot let him sit back and get comfortable in Tuscaloosa. There's no way. I mean, that would mean our offense is going to have to once again put up 35, 40 points. And I mean, it'd be nice too if our offense could find a way to finish some drives. As much as I love the confidence knowing that Tate's going to put it through the uprights, I'd really like to finish more of these drives with 6.
Yeah. No doubt. I agree with that 100%.
Back to our 2:30 time slot 1 week from Saturday. OU headed to Tuscaloosa. Looking forward to that. After last week's picks, Brandon, you added 4 to your total. Dalton, you added 5, but you're still behind, 64-55. Heading into this week, game number 1 is actually going to be a Friday game. That's Northwestern versus USC. Friday at 8 o'clock on Fox. Dalton, I'll start with you. Who you got in this one?
I'm going to go with USC here at home. No reason they should struggle to Northwestern.
Yeah. You think the same, B?
Agreed. Yeah. Agreed. Yeah.
All right. Our next game is 2:30 on ABC. That is Texas A&M versus Missouri. And Brandon.
Give me Texas A&M. Marcel Reed, Mario Craver, Concepcion, those guys are going to move the ball on this Missouri defense. And Missouri's still with their backup quarterback, Zollers, because Prebiel is out for the year. Zollers is good. He's played good so far. But I think this Texas A&M team, I know they tend to give a loser game out there just about every year, a game they're supposed to win. But I just got to go Texas A&M on this one.
Yeah. Dalton, you?
Yeah, same.
Okay. Mississippi State got their first SEC win this past weekend. They're welcoming Georgia to town, 11 a.m. on ESPN. Dalton, Georgia's going to...
As much as I want to pick the upset, I just can't this week. I got to go with Georgia.
I agree with that. I would love to figure out a way to make the Mississippi State win make sense.
Right.
But I think, especially after the close call last week for Georgia, I think Georgia.
Mormons versus the Roughnecks, 11 o'clock on ABC. BYU versus Texas Tech in Lubbock. Brandon, starting with you.
It's a home game for the Sand Aggies. I'm going to pick Texas Tech in this one. I think they're going to be going good. Baron Morton sounds like probably will be starting this game, and I got to go Texas Tech at home.
Dalton?
Yeah, got to go Tech. Morton threw for 250 yards in Manhattan, so he's going to throw for 500 in Lubbock.
Yeah.
I don't see a network on this next game. Oregon headed to Iowa. Maybe that's why. Dalton. Maybe it's just being shown in Iowa. I don't know.
On the Corn Network.
Right.
Yeah, I got to go Oregon.
Yeah, I'm going to go Oregon too.
You don't have that channel? Did they not make a deal with YouTube TV either?
Probably not. Probably not.
One more here. Auburn versus Vandy. 3 o'clock on the SEC network. Brandon.
Got to go Vandy. Coming off the loss last week to Texas, they're going to be pissed off, and Auburn's just not a good football team. Losing their coach, I know that sometimes fires a team up.
Yeah,
but it's not going to matter. Vanderbilt's going to come out pissed off after last week, and Vanderbilt's going to win that one.
Same for you, Dalton.
Same.
Okay. I'm sorry, there is one more. Almost forgot about this one. How could I forget about
you
this one?
lied.
LSU versus Alabama. This is the primetime game on ABC Saturday night. Dalton?
Got to go Alabama at home. I also don't want them to lose this game, knowing that Oklahoma's headed there in 2 weeks. So Alabama just needs to take care of business.
Yep.
Same. Alabama by 312.
Yeah.
That's what I want to happen. I want them to come in very confident in a week from this Saturday.
Please do. Comfortable and confident. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brandon, starting with you on locks.
My locks are a game I picked already. I'm going to take Texas A&M minus the 6.5 going to Missouri. Like I said, I mean, Missouri is without their starting quarterback, Bo Pribula. Zollers is their starting quarterback when Pribula's out, and Zollers has played pretty good. But Marcel Reed, Shad Owens, Mario Craver, Concepcion, those guys are just too good, and they're going to put up a lot of points. I have no problem thinking that they're going to cover the 6.5. All they got to do is win by a touchdown.
Dalton, what's your
I'm going A&M, baby.
A&M, yeah.
I'm gonna go with the Corn Network here. We're gonna go with Oregon to cover the 5.5 over Iowa. Somebody once told me that Iowa has bad corn, so we're gonna rock with that.
Okay, was that a Nebraska fan?
That is a Nebraska fan. Yeah,
I'm sure it was.
They have shirts.
Does she sleep next to you?
Yep.
Hey, I know you weren't on last week, but did you listen and tell her that I at least picked Nebraska last week to beat USC?
I told her that you picked Nebraska, she picked Nebraska, and then I said, I'm sorry, I can't pick Nebraska. So I ended up going with USC. However, she picked Tennessee. So
just to get back at you.
I think she honestly thought Tennessee was going to win.
Okay. A lot of
I couldn't blame her. I mean,
even Pat McAfee thought that. He changed his pick on the spot. So
yeah, you picked USC. So if she picks Tennessee, I guess that doesn't fly in my house. But
well, that's fair.
That'd be an argument.
Still, even a week later. Yes.
Yeah. I'd just be rubbing in her face now.
Yeah, of course.
We won. Oh, guys, it's nice to kind of be able to look forward to a stress-free Saturday. We don't have to worry about anything. I've got some stuff I'm going to do out in the yard a little bit on Saturday, a little bit on Sunday, get caught up on some of those honeydews.
That's right.
Yeah, got to get caught up on some of those honeydews. But I'm still looking forward to the weekend. You know what they say, right?
The weekend is good.
But the midweek is always better.
And boom goes the dynamite.